Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode with the Fab Fatties. I'm Alyssa.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Allie. We have had a weird 2 weeks. I am going to say it, and we will navigate it, but we recorded an episode last week that did not go as anticipated. And it will not be seeing the light of day. And we'll probably talk about that later in more detail. But so we just felt like we needed to sit for a minute, check in with ourselves, check in with each other, check in with our viewers and our listeners, and connect with you guys, and just have a little bit of a self-reflection moment. So what has been coming up for us, and we've been talking about kind of like in our group chat and just in passing in conversations, is our coping mechanisms. And I don't know how this conversation started. I think it was
It was you.
Yeah, it was you. You said, what's been
It
coming
was
up
you.
for you?
Oh, really? I love that for me. Well, I also know that we were having a conversation where there was some like guilt and shame around coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And something that I've really held on to from therapy is to be grateful and appreciative for the coping mechanisms, because they serve a purpose,
Yeah.
right? Like, we've developed them for a reason, and just because they're no longer serving us or it doesn't align with what we want anymore doesn't make them bad, you know? And I really struggle with this personally, and I'm always reminding myself. So I think today's conversation is going to be us kind of talking through what stuff have been coming up for us in our personal lives, and what coping mechanisms are taking over, and if we want them to, or if we don't want them to, and kind of how we can support each other as a community and keep living, because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And I say this as a person who literally slept in bed all day today.
Yeah.
And that's not my vibe. But like, I could not get out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've shared on the podcast and with y'all have been, kind of people who are influential in getting me started. So I've started therapy recently. And one of the things that's come up for that is acknowledging what things I do go to for comfort, for support, and then what of those coping mechanisms cause me additional stress because they end up not serving me well over time. And I do believe some of this conversation came up because I was sharing a coping mechanism that I have been using for a really long time that does cause me stress, and then I have shame about it, and I definitely have shame about how people see me because of it. And I definitely want to get into that today. One of the things that I'm trying to be cognizant of is a lot of people do have shame around the issues they face, and then also the ways that they deal with it. And as we talk, you might recognize yourself in some of the coping mechanisms we talk about. And I think, to reach for any of these is to be human. And like you mentioned, they serve us a purpose. And it's also okay to say this pattern of coping has become destructive. And like, how do I orient away from it now? How do I find a different one that fits better, that allows me to cope, but also maybe doesn't put me in this other situation that then just causes me more stress and harm, and we don't have all the answers.
I was gonna say, I think that's probably one of the most important things for us to say today is that like we're genuinely having a conversation amongst friends today, and like listeners, viewers, like if this resonates with you, or like you said, if you see yourself in anything that we're struggling with, I hate that for you, and we're not experts. This is just things are shitty for us right now. Or things feel a little shitty, and so we're just talking to our best friends about things that feel shitty. And I'm sorry, I don't have better words for that right now. I'm recognizing, even just starting out, that I am slightly disassociating. I think I've been maybe more than slightly disassociating for a couple days now, just like completely. I'm not even in this room right now. So yeah, I think that that's important to me to be like, as buttoned up as we try to be sometimes and serious. We're not serious, right?
Me. No, but
I was like, am I ever buttoned up?
I get buttoned up for sure.
But no, just that we give each other a lot of grace. So viewers, listeners, you have to give yourself a lot of grace because we don't have it figured out, and we don't expect anybody else to, and we're lucky that we have each other to do this with and talk through hard shit with, and be able to say that we had a hard recording last week, and we had to talk through it. We had to talk through it multiple times. We had to cry through it. Shit got rough. But I'm thankful that we have the kind of friendship that we have, that we get to walk through things together, and that the three of us were like, hey, this week is really hard.
Yeah.
Let's just have an episode where we talk about what's hard.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what was really interesting too is collectively our group chat was very quiet this week.
Yeah.
And I know for me, if I'm not answering, it's because I'm not doing well. So I found it interesting. Like, it wasn't like every single day I had missed messages.
Yeah.
It was very quiet. And I was like, oh, we are all really struggling right now to just.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and, it's funny because like I do think we're all also experiencing joy in the chaos. you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. It's like this is a very like
Me and Allie.
life is not pure doom and gloom and then it's
Yeah.
gone and there's pure joy. It's intermixed, and so we have these moments where like this week we're like, oh my gosh, this thing is really cool, right? Like we
Yeah.
have some cool stuff coming up, but then also we're like quiet and we're self-protecting and we're recharging and we're doing all the things because we're stressed.
Yeah. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's go into
Who
it.
feels comfy, like really getting into some more specifics first?
Yeah, I feel
Do you
good
feel-
going first. Yeah.
Go for it.
I
I feel
am.
like you just got voluntold. We were
No,
both.
I am.
Well, I wanted to give you the
absolutely-
out too, because
Yeah.
when you're sitting in the seat and you're like actually going to share some vulnerable stuff, I know it feels a little different. So
Yeah,
we
no,
could totally.
But I absolutely am the kid in the class who puts their hand up first, so I'll go. I get it all off and then I can relax. Like that's my anxiety
Yeah.
that likes to do it.
Mm.
So I have again like good and bad things happening.
Hey everyone, did you know that the Fab Fatties are on Patreon? Yes, we are. And you can follow us for more behind the scenes chaos. We have bloopers, we have Allie raging, we have, me climbing out windows. I don't know. We just have a bunch of crazy stuff over there. Yeah, so you can find us on Patreon. That's
P-A-T.
PATREON.com.
T.com / the Fab Fatties.
PATE.
No.
PATREON. That's what I said.
.com / the Fab Fatties.
And we will see you over there.
Funnily enough, viewers and listeners, after I put my dating life up for grabs for discussion, I met somebody. And I actually like him quite a lot. And we've been seeing each other.
Podcast official.
Yeah. Hey. He
The
likes,
wink.
Oh
that-
my God.
That's a better wink. Listen, it's a better wink this time.
He
All right.
likes my winks.
I love that.
Shout out. Wait, can we say his name?
No.
Okay.
He remains anonymous until
Ooh,
later decisions.
let's give him an anonymous name.
Oh man, what's a good one? You know what? He makes a lot of food for her. Chef. It was the first thing that I came up with.
It just is, I don't know. I guess because I've heard about the bear or something. It's sounding a little. Isn't that like a?
Do you want me to call him the bear?
No. I'll think about it.
Okay.
It needs to be.
We'll workshop it. We'll
We'll
workshop.
workshop.
I'm loving it for you though. I'm just to jump in on what you're talking about. He has made her chicken nuggets. He made her burritos with homemade tortillas.
He made me
made
bread. And he knows I like chicken minis from Chick-fil-A, so we put honey butter on top.
It's really sweet.
He's really sweet. And it's scary. It is scary to meet someone that gives you back what you're giving them in liking them. A lot of my romantic interests it's always been a mismatch of interest. Either they've been more into me than I'm into them, or I'm more into them than they're into me. It's really weird to have the energy matched. And I joke with him about matching my freak because I thought, the whole little who's gonna match my freak, whatever. I play Pokemon Go. He plays Pokemon Go. He introduced me to Naruto, and now that damn ending song plays in my head, and I like it. Like, I'm learning about
I was doing a
ninjas.
run.
Yeah. And there's some weird inside humor jokes about kisses. He likes to kiss me what we call dead kisses.
Yes.
I just sit there, and he goes, and I tell him I'm
Try
going
not to make a face right now.
I
We
told
haven't met him
him
yet.
that I'm going to lizard kiss him one day. I haven't got a chance to do that, but I just want to be like, I just want to do that.
What is this conversation?
I think I disassociated all the way out of the studio.
I have not done it. It's just because he makes me do dead kisses.
Got it.
So
Cool.
Listen,
Like,
couples do weird
he'll
things.
like text me before I go to bed, and he'll be like, "Good night, my lizard queen," and I'm like,
That's hilarious.
so yeah, I've definitely
Alright, well-
told too much. TMI,
I love that.
but
Lizard Queen.
But you're like a little giddy about it, which is kind of cute.
I like our humor, and I love the way we interact with each other.
I love
So, anyways,
that. And also happy birthday to Chef.
it's his
I'm calling him
birthday
Chef.
today. But new relationship energy is something that I've heard before, and it's when you meet someone new you're really excited about, and you have a lot of energy towards it, and you're excited. But also, like, I think when you get older, you're like, is this going to be a long-term relationship? Is this someone I'm just dating casually? There's so much, and I want to spend a lot of time with him, and I have a busy life. So I've found that a little bit difficult in that I want to say yes to everything I had already been saying yes to and to him. And that has been a lot in terms of like my energy levels and my concentration. And I'm starting back at work. For those of you that don't know, I teach at a university and our semester starts next week. So today was my first day of meetings and I'm adding another thing back in.
Yeah.
The summer, I taught half the summer and then I didn't teach anymore. So I had a full month and a half off. And like, wow, was that good for my mental health? And just calming how much stuff I had to do. So I'm nervous about starting all those things again. At the same time as all of that, one of the things I'm working on is that one of the things I do, my coping mechanism for a lot of these things, I have several. I think eating is definitely a coping mechanism of mine. And I know that's a very stereotypical fat girl, fat person coping mechanism. And there's a lot of shame if you do fit that stereotype of a fat person. But eating is definitely part of mine. Spending money. I have obviously been online sharing shopping content for 10 plus years, sharing outfits, etc. Not only do I like to buy clothes and such, I love to spend money on Pokecoins. I love all the little convenience things, get on the express lane to get to Charlotte. Like, I have always been someone that if I have $10 in my purse, I'm spending $10. And, as an adult, it catches up with you. As an adult, you have emergencies and there's no one to turn to open their wallet for you. And that has been a really big struggle for me to both feel the pressure of needing to provide for myself and not doing it well enough, and also paying for the coping mechanisms I've used in the past, paying for overspending my life, like what I actually make.
Yeah.
And a lot of shame around that. When I was just out of college, like living in my very first apartment, I had gotten into some debt and I went to my parents about it. And their reaction to it was tough.
Yeah.
I felt like they saw me differently. I felt like I was a bad person. I felt like a disappointment. I felt like we talked with Sebastian last time about doing all the right things. I was good school. Got good grades. I got a job in a nice university. I did the things, but I overspent and I felt like it overshadowed all the right things I did. Is this one wrong thing I did? And also I had to like give over some of my privacy in terms of them seeing all my financial information. And that really made me never want to share anything financial ever again with anybody. In terms of like, I would rather just hide it because of the intense shame I felt. So as an adult, what I've found is that I still struggle with overspending, but I try to find ways out of it that does not include telling anyone in my life. And that's scary to put out here because I'm sure my parents will watch this. So yeah, I'm finding myself in like some situations that I know it's my responsibility to fix. And I feel overwhelmed by that. I feel overwhelmed by it and ashamed of it. And what was my coping mechanism is not an option, even though I still take my damn $10 and I still spend all 10 of it somewhere, you know? And yeah, like, so where am I left? You know, like, where am I left with that? Facing it.
Yeah, facing it.
Facing it.
And facing it in a way where you are navigating anxiety and stress and not using that coping mechanism, because if you do, it will continue to perpetuate a cycle.
I know this is a topic that's hard for Allie, so I don't know if you're dissociating, and it's fine if you are. Sorry. It's completely okay. One of the things I do feel like I'm in the best probably place in my life to deal with it is because I do have people I can go to who are not going to shame me for it. And who understand when I do have an extra 50 why I might want to go to lunch. You know, I feel like I don't have to justify who I am to y'all due to my financial stuff. And that is hugely freeing. It feels like I can do the work and talk to someone about it without them changing how they see me.
Yep.
I think that that's extremely important. I think that a lot of what you said there is it is just that there's so much shame. There's so much shame. And when you're taught shame by people that you assume are meant to love you the most, right? It hurts. It hurts. And I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. This is not something that I feel ready to talk about yet, because I'm like, it would just not be good for me, but or good for this podcast. I'm trying to like laugh through it right now. But I have a lot of financial trauma. Like I literally, like, as you're talking through that, like I was revisiting being screamed at and being terrified and being basically hunted down. Like, my phone would never stop ringing and from my parents. And I know what you mean by them, changing making you feel like they've changed the way that they feel about you, and that, that whole bad person thing, right? And I know I don't need to tell you this, but everybody struggles with something, and so many people struggle with money, and I struggle with money, and I'm not a bad person, and we'll talk about that later, right? But you're not a bad person. I know I don't need to tell you that, but this world's a fucking dumpster fire. And if you get a dopamine hit from buying some Pokemon coins, is it helpful? No. Does that make you a bad person? No.
Yeah, so I think it's working through like not seeing myself as a bad person while also reminding myself it's not helpful, and how can I get to a place that is more helpful. The other reason I think it's like the best time of my life that like I feel like I'm in the best place to address it is I do now go to a therapist, and she's helped me a lot in a really short amount of time, and honestly the contributions from her aren't huge, but it is a space, a supportive space to work through things. So we're going to start doing half of my sessions about financial stuff and um, kind of learning how I've been using financial stuff, what are my financial traumas, and what do I associate with money, and how am I doing that? Um, what are ways of addressing my current finances that feel less overwhelming? Um, so I'm interested to see what that looks like. So far, a lot of our sessions have been unstructured in the sense that I just come in and talk about whatever I want. And so she says we're going to start, like, I was like, I would like to do half of what I'm still doing, which is talking about the things that are coming up on a weekly basis, and then half that. And that stuff, she said, let's do a little more structured work around this. Let's use some things that can help guide us through as we talk about these things. And I really appreciated her too, and the fact that she was not judgmental towards it. And um, I think I struggle because of course, as soon as people know that you're having financial issues, then they scrutinize every single thing you do with your money.
Sure.
And like, I guess I don't know where the line is in like tough love, because that's what I feel like my parents felt like they were doing. I think they truly felt like they were helping me out of a situation, but that also telling me how disappointed they are is a form of tough love. And I think for some people that could work. Maybe. I don't know. It didn't work for me. What it did was make me want to hide. Hide mess ups, hide mistakes. And I am someone that doesn't like to be wrong. I think that's all of us, really. But I'm okay being wrong about things. I'm not okay with feeling like I was wrong towards others or like made choices that hurt people. And I guess it felt like that's what they saw it as, you know? And that I struggled with. I struggled with that view of myself. I still feel like it lingers, you know, in terms of like, it's always kind of like the elephant in the room. If we're talking about the future and, you know, like there might be opportunities in my future to have stakes in a business or any of that stuff. I always feel like what I'm bringing with that is that I'm the financially irresponsible one. Like I can bring leadership, I bring ideas, I bring this, but I don't bring financial trust. I can't be trusted with finances. And the part of it is like I have to agree. Like I have to agree that when it comes to my money, and because again I've been single, so my money only affects me, I'm not the most responsible with it, you know?
I don't know if this is going to land for you. So take it, leave it, toss it, change it, whatever feels right. But I think it's really hard to say because your coping mechanism has been the short endorphins kick you get from spending the money you do have.
Yeah.
You've never been in a place where you're saying, okay, this may make me feel good, but it's hurting me. Right? So now you're sitting down and you're looking at that. You're going to develop healthier coping mechanisms. And maybe when you have healthier coping mechanisms, you will be able to be in charge of your finances in a way that you feel like you're actually controlling them and it's not controlling you.
Yeah.
I just don't think you've given yourself a chance to even get there in the work, you know? So maybe that's true now.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you're right now you're saying, you know what? I acknowledge that I can't be trusted with my own finances because I still want to use this coping mechanism. And that's okay. But it doesn't mean that that is always going to be the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I think also too, it's, and I'm not judging your family. I'm not judging anybody's families, but it is, family dynamics are hard, right?
So
I mean, we're going
hard.
to talk about that this entire episode, but family dynamics are hard, and it's hard. It's hard when you feel like you can't be seen for everything that you do bring to the table, and you're only seen for what you don't bring to the table, right? So I hear you saying, you know, that you feel like you're valuable because of, you know, X, Y, and Z, but it's P, right? It's M, it's money, that it's all they see. And you feel like that's, you know, they're a judge of character on you. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's not fair because we know who you are.
Yeah. Well, and the truth matters, I don't feel empowered to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's also something I'm working on with my therapist because, if I didn't have y'all to go to, truly, because I've gone to Allie multiple times about communication stuff, like in terms of my new relationship, like I have y'all to reach out to. I have my therapist to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I really struggle to bring it up with others. Anyone even that I'm really close to, I struggle. My sister, I can tell these things to. She struggles similarly. But I don't work through it unless I'm with y'all or my therapist. And obviously, again, like, I think our friendship was already going that direction, but then the podcast gave us a place where we really ended up just devoting ourselves to it, right? But yeah, I mean, I think this is the first time I feel empowered to talk to some people in my life about it. This person I'm seeing, I told him like 2 weeks ago the reality of it. And I think I would have just hidden it if I had been me a year ago. I just would have pretended it doesn't matter. But like, I don't know. Again, like, I'm just in a place where I feel really devoted to being honest and open about things, even things that I feel like don't reflect well on me, and to stop feeling so much shame for it. It is what it is.
I think that's the key. I think that's really the key. And I think that shows, your evolution is it's not so much that anything's changed. It's that you're not willing to sit with shame anymore, because shame is not a conducive anything. I truly don't believe shame is
It's not a
conducive.
motivator.
It's
No,
not.
It's not a motivator for
very-
sure.
And
Yeah.
and I realize that the trolls on the internet really think that it is, but it's not. But I know that we were all in different ways and in similar ways taught shame growing up, and it's so easy to fall back on that. But I think that it just shows like the growth that you've had, that you're no longer willing to sit with it.
Yeah.
You would rather be open and honest and say, this is who I am, this is what I got going on, and you can accept that, or you can get to fucking stepping,
Yeah.
And I realize I say all that to you and I struggle with it myself, but it's easier to say to somebody
yeah.
else. But I think that's what I want all of us to take away, and our viewers and listeners take away, is it is so much easier. I have found it so much easier. And I think that our relationships have changed, with each other, because we keep getting more and more comfortable to just say the hard shit instead of being ashamed.
Yeah. So I'd say right now, my coping, we made a reel the other day where we did like joking insults, and we probably won't do that often because we're sensitive girls, but one of them was like, you're the queen of little treats, I need a little treat. And like, it truly is that with money, with food, I can have a hard day, but if I'm like, ooh, I got a little chocolate croissant, or I got a little nail polish, like, it really kind of like it motivates me to do things I don't want to do. And so now I'm like, and my therapist has not made me feel bad about that. In fact, she talks about like, how are you gonna take care of yourself? Like, what are the things you're gonna do? I got to figure out a way of doing it that isn't going to harm me, in terms of like, and I do not think eating a chocolate croissant will harm me, in case the trolls will say that.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Just to be very clear, how can I have my little treats that do motivate me but aren't going to break my bank account? And believe me, I have like so many boxes of like baking stuff in my cabinets. I need to bake. Or, Chef has said he can recreate some of my little cookies I like and stuff like that.
That's
but
amazing.
Like I do think there's ways of doing it that aren't as aesthetically pleasing, that aren't as convenient. That's a big one for me, is pushing past what's convenient. Because I love fast service. I love being able to pick up something right then and there.
I don't think that that's also something that I think a lot of people feel shame around too. But like our society literally like thrives off of us being addicted to convenience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything is at our fingertips now. Like we
could order a full grocery list right now, just sitting while we're podcasting.
I could literally order. I could order a robot. I could order a mannequin, according to Sebastian, right? Like I could literally order everything that I see in this room. I could order it in 2 seconds on that phone, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, you can get on the expressway You can order food. You can order a cozy blanket, like whatever, right? Like they've trained us to be, and I know that I sound very tin hat saying that, but like they've trained us to become addicted to convenience, right?
And there's certain things that I think are worth convenience.
Sure.
Like there are certain things that I could cut money wise. Like I have a cleaning service. I could cut that. But I know what my life was before the cleaning service, and I have improved my life having them in my life.
Well, then one would argue that you can't cut that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Because
So I think there's certain things.
just because it's not a necessity, but like what the flip side looks like it is
Right.
more negative than
Right. And
exactly.
so I think it is going through what I spend my money on and like what actually is. Like what is the outcome of it, right? And is there positive things to having it? Because not everything that's a convenience necessarily means I don't need it or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe not to survive, but I don't need to live a happy, productive life, right? And which ones can I maybe push through and have delayed gratification by not doing it? But that's gonna be hard for me because I really truly have leaned into that and used it for lots and lots of years. And I don't say no to myself often. So not looking forward to saying no to myself.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I think that there's a way to start reframing that, right? Of you're saying no to some things so that you can say yes to yourself for other things, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in like a hokey, like what sunshine and rainbows kind of thing. I know it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. I have my own financial struggles, right?
Yeah.
But I think, just starting to reframe it for yourself.
So it doesn't feel like such a my word is restriction. So it doesn't feel like a restriction. I mean, that's really what I'm working through is that it feels when it comes to food, when it comes to money, restriction is something I struggle with.
Yeah.
So I have to look at it differently. I have to see what I can work around. I have to see how I can do it in different ways. And I can report back on that because I don't feel like I have the best coping mechanisms for them yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like right now my coping is talking to my friends, being really honest about it, talking to my therapist. Therapist made such a difference in having a place to like work on goals and work on things that are a struggle for me. And then, my other coping mechanisms, that's not the greatest, but we'll move on after I say this, is I will just keep adding things, So I think another coping mechanism is like I have a problem, like let's add a solution. I'm thinking about driving for DoorDash. I'm thinking about doing whatever it is to earn extra money, selling some stuff. Like I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to keep adding, even though I know at some point I'm going to burn out. But that is one way I cope, is to stay insanely productive. Almost every moment of my life is scheduled with either people or tasks. And that's one way I cope, even though that's a coping mechanism that hurts me sometimes too.
I get that.
So that's me. Who's up next on the silver platter?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So technically we put together like an agenda / outline for today. So we did purposely serve up Rebecca first. So I don't want you guys to think I'm being brave, being like, I'll go next. I'm not.
She's next on the agenda.
I'm just next on the agenda. I am struggling. I am struggling. And I wrote a post about it this week. So go and read that. Alyssa, you go. No, I'm just kidding. I am struggling. And yes, like you said, we have really cool things going on. I'm super fucking proud of myself this week. I'm super proud of us for some cool shit that we have coming up. And
You know what I find interesting about you starting this
what?
is as you started to talk, I just immediately had this thought that I feel compelled to put in the universe, which is we have often talked that you are chronically online, but it has been like a place of belonging for you, and you have found such a beautiful community there, and it has been so aggressively negative and something that was all positive with some haters has now been haters with some positive,
Mm-hmm.
and it has taken away a space for you.
Yes, I am chronically online. Um, because I found my people, right? I found you guys online, right? I found my people online, I found my community online. And as I say that, as I literally those words come out of my mouth, I'm cognizant of those words coming out of my mouth, and in the back of my head, I'm thinking of the assholes who are like, "Oh yeah, because you're in your echo chamber. You're in an echo chamber, and you're only listening to people who are like you, and you're not listening to people who want to tell you facts about your body, and we don't care about your lived experience, and blah 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 blah." I can't. I. It's exhausting. It's exhausting, and yes, I know. I know the realities of being publicly fat or publicly whatever, or just on the internet, right? Or in the spotlight, whatever, right? I know nobody's immune to it. I mean, Taylor Swift had to cancel concerts last week because somebody wanted to kill
Yep.
her and all of her fans, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's immune to it. And I say that and I think about the people who are like, "Oh, well, if you can't handle it, you shouldn't be on the internet." I can't stop thinking about them. They're in my head all the time. And yes, it has become an unsafe place for me because now it's not that I'm just having to filter them out of my space. I'm both actively seeking them out in my friends' spaces. I don't want to say I'm always actively seeking them out in my friends' spaces, but when I see my friends post about them, I want to help. I want to help. And so I invite it. I invite it by going to their posts and engaging with their trolls, even though I no longer allow trolls on my page because I've limited, I've limited who can comment on my page. And as I say that in my head, I'm like, oh, they say that I'm weak. I'm weak because I've filtered my comments. But then my friends post about the hate that they're getting, and so that I go to their pages and I comment and I engage with their trolls, and then I see another terrible video posted about us, and honestly, now there's two guys that have posted about us. One of them, just a horrible person in general. We know this. The other guy, I don't want to give him any kind of recognition other than like, I despise this person so much. Also, making me think about this person because he likes to use the word copium, that we're just sniffing the copium, bro. Also, every other word that he uses is bro, but he thinks that he's super smart. He tried to message us and be like, "Hey, I did a reaction video about you guys, and I would love to talk to you about it. We should collab." LOL, no. LOL, no. But basically, this guy thinks that he's like, I message all of these fat people, and they're afraid to talk to me because they're afraid of my debate skills. Bro. Your debate skills are literally telling me that my entire problem in life is that I eat 14 cheeseburgers at a barbecue. So your debate skills are about as good as Donald Trump's. Anyway, so, but why is this guy in my head?
Yeah.
Why is this guy in my head?
Well, I mean, my one thought is like, I'm so mad at these apps, platforms, whatever, because their whole like community standards suck ass and the implementation of it.
They suck.
They suck.
This is like new to me, but I've reported so many people and they're like, this isn't bad enough. I'm like, what do you mean it's not bad enough? They're literally spewing hateful things and rhetoric. And I'm like, Instagram, do better.
Well, it used to not be like that. I mean, it truly didn't. The thing that I struggle with now is a lot of fat people's content isn't seen, and the content that is seen is fed to the people who will troll them. So it's not even it's not like the algorithm is serving their content to people who value it. It's serving their content to people who engage, which unfortunately is the people who are going to this. There needs to be, how do we have AI that can literally tell us? They can tell me how to write my assignment, anything. The AI can do anything. but Instagram's AI can't tell the difference between positive and negative engagement.
It can.
I know, and they're just choosing not to do it.
They're choosing not to because not only is it the algorithm is feeding it to people who engage, but it's feeding it to people who are chronically on the app, right?
Yeah.
And those people are people like me and people who just are on there to spread hate because all that they have is their shitty little fingers on their shitty little keyboards, right? To just be shitty to people. And that's the most human interaction that they have during the day. And I'm making a lot of assumptions right here, but they make a lot of assumptions about me. So yeah, these are it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Yeah.
How do you cope with the fact their voices are always in your head?
Not well.
Yeah, not well, bitch.
Not well, bitch. Yeah, I'm fucking struggling.
That's the whole point of this conversation, Rebecca.
That's why we're here, Rebecca. Yeah, so not well. I've been very quiet this week. I have been. At one point this week, I did. I live with my mom. If you guys didn't know that, and I did literally go downstairs and hand her my phone for 2 hours, and I was just, I need you.
Wow.
I did. I had to give it to her.
Allie.
And
That's like that's
it is, and I'm also ashamed to say that in that entire 2 hours, I sat there like shaking my feet, like fuck, because I am doing a lot of self-harming right now in seeking out the bad stuff, and I'm realizing that a lot of it is because I'm still trying to prove something to people that don't give a fuck about me, and so when I see these words and I see the horrible things these people are saying to me, that I can so easily say that this person has no idea and this person is just so disgusting because they're completely invalidating my lived experience and all of those things. I can so easily say that, and this would never be someone I would ever want to be associated with or that I would want to know in my real life. And yet there are a handful of people in my life that are no longer in my life that have said terrible things to me. And when I read these words,
it amplifies.
it validates them.
Yep.
So I know that I get so much positive feedback too, and none of it matters. And I hate to say that. Because it's like, I mean, we were just talking about it, but like, I don't understand. I say that I don't understand. I also know that I have borderline personality disorder. I know that it is literally an uphill battle for me with my brain all the time. But I have hundreds of people every week telling me that what I'm doing matters and all the great things. I don't need to say it out loud, right? But it's the people who are complete strangers, but when I look at their words, I see my sister and I see someone who I thought was a best friend, when we got that incredible news last week, I unfortunately, in the back of my head was like, you know, we're about to have a really big interview. Maybe that would impress her. Maybe that would show her that I'm worth something, right? If my sister were not my sister, like, I wouldn't know this person. I would not be associated with this person, right? Same as a troll. Like, the way that this person has treated me is the same way that these trolls have treated me, like, so horribly that, like, I would not be associated with this person. But Rebecca asked me something the other day. We were talking about this, and she was like, you know, I wish that when you have, you know, when we have good news like this, that in your head, you could think, you know, what would little Allie think of this, right? Little Allie.
Because you talk about little Allie a lot.
Right? What would little Allie think of this? Or even what does right now Allie think of this?
Yeah.
And instead I'm thinking of her. And I realized that, like, I'm not even sure what little Allie wanted, because all I wanted was to get the people I love to love me back. And I was unsuccessful. It was always, oh, well, you know, she loves you in your own way, you know, a very abusive way. I wanted to get the people I love to love me back. And I spent so long trying to get my biggest bullies to like me. And I think I'm still doing that,
Mm.
like, subconsciously. And why? You know? And so, yeah, part of my coping mechanism is like, if I just yell at these people and try to keep explaining myself, my coping mechanism is explaining myself, is explaining and explaining and explaining to people who don't fucking care,
Yeah.
who don't care, who are committed to misunderstanding me, who have no interest in what I have to say because they've already made their decision about me. And yet I find more validity in their words than I do in even the two of you sitting here telling me on a regular basis that, you know, I'm great or whatever
Yeah.
it is you guys say. And I can't even think of it right now.
But you're saying it though. It's because it goes deeper. It goes deeper. It goes deeper.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you've talked about, and I do think like this is a good reminder that you're relatively new in having dropped the systems that you participated in a couple years ago, you know, before prior to a couple years ago. And while you can recognize what your values are and you feel very rooted in them, it doesn't mean that you're healed from the places and the things that kept you there. You know, um, I think when I hear that, it just makes me think you come off so confident, and I know it's hard for you to show that there's a crack in the armor, right?
Rebecca.
I'm so sorry, but I mean, I think it's beautiful. I think it's I think it is a bravery to be willing to show that. Um, there is something there that you are more willing to accept the negative views of you than the positive ones. And while also wanting everyone to feel so good about themselves. And I think you're in a place where you want it for others and you are working on it for yourself. You're just not freed from it yet. You know what I mean? Like you haven't healed from it completely. You are in the midst of the work. You're in the midst of it. And I told you that I feel like you're raw dogging life in certain ways. And cuz you also don't have all the resources that you could use to help you through it. And so that sucks. Like it sucks that oftentimes you are left walking yourself through all of those thoughts. And then what happens is you do have the rage, you do have the tears, you do have whatever that is because you do share with us and you do let us help in our own ways, but there's certain things we can't understand, you know, and I think to a certain degree you're having to walk yourself through it without much support, and that's hard as fuck, you know. Um, I recognized pretty early on that me and you had different experiences of the negative comments. And I say that as a teacher who remembers every negative comment I got in the end of the semester surveys. So, like, I get it. I get remembering every negative comment I've ever gotten. But I'm able to move past them very quickly. And I can't imagine being stuck with them in my brain all the time. There's been a couple that have stuck with me. And the ones that have are rooted to things that I had served my way as a child. You know, like people tell me things about, oh, you're not Christian, therefore I don't value you as a person. Yeah, that shit hurts because that's what I got as a middle schooler when people found out I wasn't, like, I didn't have faith.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that you've had these people who were big figures in your life who harmed you, who rejected you, who said these awful things about you, that you are trying to prove to yourself you're not that, and yet fuck them, you're still trying to prove to them. But I definitely think like you recognizing it is important, and yeah, like we said, like if they're in your life today, would it matter if they recognized it? It wouldn't, but that doesn't mean our brain's not freed from thinking, oh, someone else saw me this way. Like I do think really truly, I talked about this with Shane with mine, like it is really hard to deal with the fact that people see you differently than you see yourself.
Yeah.
That's a really hard thing to sit with, and we get that with the trolls served up to us all the time, you know.
Yeah. I think it's similar kind of what you were saying too. When you were talking about some of the stuff that you're going through, it's just now I'm on this like other side of like, you know, I used to hate everything about myself, and now I'm like, you can't tell me that I'm not hot. And I love that for myself, right? Love that for myself. I'm fully on that side of it, you know? And that took a long time. That was a very hard battle. Where I struggle the most now is like it physically hurts to say when people think that I'm a bad person,
Yeah.
because that was the narrative I was served by the people I loved most,
Yeah.
was that I was a bad person. I was a bad person just for existing. I was a bad person for making mistakes. I was a bad person for not going to one birthday party out of 8 birthday parties, like just everything that I did was a bad person.
Yeah.
And so now I second guess everything. I want to be an advocate for everybody, and yet I'm like, am I being too performative? Am I being too this? Am I being too that? Am I, I literally have nothing to give at this point, and even giving $5, I'm like, that feels so shitty. Like it feels shitty. Like I did that the other day, and I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm like, I feel like a shitty person because I don't even have $5 to really give, but I gave, and I'm like, that wasn't enough. That probably felt really shitty, and I can't stop thinking about it.
It's very black and white thinking.
Welcome to borderline personality disorder.
Yeah. And so that's hard, right? Like I don't have, obviously you're not looking for an answer. You're not looking for an answer from me.
We're just venting.
Yeah, I empathize with you because I do think it's hard. And I also think, because I think you are a good person, but you also, because of your past, want to be perceived as a good person. And that pressure to be perceived can stunt you actually just being a good person, because it's just making everything really difficult. And at the same time, why wouldn't you be invested in how you're perceived? You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's a really hard balance to be. But we talked a little bit about, like, if someone were to ever question, explain where you're at and just stand in it. And like, okay, why'd you only give $5? Well, here, done.
I learned about this thing in treatment called, like, God, I'm going to mess up the word. I'm going to give you a really shitty summary right now of something that was a pivotal point for me. Something around core beliefs about ourselves. And I have a core belief that I am unworthy of this space I take up. And because of that core belief, I find things in my life that support that core belief. And they are the loudest. I know, I'm sorry. We don't have to talk even more about it. But what I did find interesting was I often was getting frustrated with myself, being like, there's so many people telling me I'm doing the right thing, and there's one person who's really important to me who's not telling me that I'm doing the right thing, and it is fucking everything up. Well, then I looked at my core belief, and it was because they're supporting what I actually believe about myself. Right? And this is where we get to, like, factually, I think everyone is worthy of the space they take up. Right?
And you're like, but not me. Yeah.
I think we are good people navigating a difficult world. But then I'm surprised that people want to be friends with me because I'm not a good person.
I literally just thought, y'all, I'm only friends with good people, so you're fine. No, but yeah, then you're like,
See,
but why are you my friend?
I want to have that level of confidence about being a good person. Like, I logically,
It's there.
I know I'm a good person.
Correct.
And I saw a meme literally yesterday, and I wanted to send it to you guys, but I was in a weird place where I literally was like questioning everything, and I didn't know. I was like, I don't know, because maybe they'll see it too if I send this to them.
Oh.
But it literally was like sometimes, I'm going to fuck this up, but it was basically like, sometimes I think that I've just tricked people into thinking I'm a good person.
Yep. Literally.
And I'm like,
ain't that so relatable?
I'm like, okay, so I just do all of this good work.
Performatory.
To trick people into thinking I'm a good person. Okay, checks out. So I've tricked everybody, and so I'm just a terrible person who just keeps doing good stuff. But it's because one person, two people, somebody who died who I can't change his mind, like
Yeah.
they think I'm bad. they think I'm bad. And so, yeah, everybody else who's like, "Allie, you're great." I'm like, "Cool. You have no idea what you're fucking talking about." You
Yep.
know? But you're right. You're right. It's the loudest voices are the ones who validate the shittiest
Yeah.
feelings.
I'll go back in my notes and find the exercise because I did it a few times to figure out, like, it's something you do, being like, you write down something you believe about yourself. And it's like, okay, well, if that was true, what would that mean? Okay, if that was true, what would that mean? If that was true, what would that mean? And then, like, once you go and you go and you go and you can't come up with anything else, like, that's the core belief, you know? And it's multiple things. It could be, I mean, I did it for core beliefs around food. I did it core beliefs being a fat person with food. I did core beliefs about myself. But I'll send you some of my notes because it's a spiral thinking.
Yeah.
Right? So basically what it helps you do is be like, well, let's actually get to what the core is of, like, where is all of these beliefs coming from?
Yeah.
And then let's attack that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard shit. It's hard shit. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not hard shit. I'm not going to sit here saying, oh, once you figure it out, it's going to be great. It's not. It's not. You have a lot of fucking work to do. And it sucks.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
I'd love to get to a place where you do have more resources
Yeah.
to support you in that. And, you know, we'll be here.
Lipton, sponsor me.
us, right? We need resources.
Like, that will get me to a good place, getting some fucking sponsors on this podcast.
You guys
yeah.
didn't know I'm just super poor.
And listen, I'm in debt. So, like, I think
Same.
I think we're limited. You know, there's some stuff that we could get help from, but we're limited. And I think you're doing great, sweetie, for the working within the limitations that you have under yourself right now. I mean, there's a lot that is shaping your ability to move yourself through it, and yet you're still moving yourself through it with honesty, even if it's not to a rainbow sunshine place.
I don't think I'm coping well.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any sort of good
Mechanisms.
Well, except for talking to you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the podcast is a good coping mechanism, but otherwise I'm just spiraling or disassociating. When I can talk to James, it's great. It is hard being in a long distance relationship sometimes, but it's really great for my BPD how available he is. Like, he texts me all day long, and he's always like, just call me whenever, you need to talk. And now we've started calling just to say goodnight. And the level of communication I have with him is really great. And I feel like it's like the level of communication I have with you guys. Like, I can just reach out for anything, which is taking me a while to get there with him, of feeling like I'm not bothering him, you know? And even I had to admit to him the other day that I did. Like, I have bad thoughts about him a lot. Of everybody I've loved has hurt me, so why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And of course he's like, well, that's not fair. But I do it to you a lot. I assume, because of the way others have treated me, I come in with my guard up to you, who has not treated me the same way that these people that are in my head have treated me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. That was last week.
Oh, I know. I'm like thinking through all of this shit.
Know,
and
babe. I know. And listen, I said this to everyone that I processed last week's episode with, and I said this to you in our multiple conversations. The moment was really shitty, and the way you showed up after the moment speaks volumes to who you are. Period.
Thank you.
After the moment, you were like, I'm going to take some ownership. We're going to talk through it. And I love you, and I'm sorry. And like, there were no notes, it would just, there was full accountability. And not only that, there was also collaboration on how we can move forward and better support each other, about how you can allow me to support you, so.
I think I've realized just through this conversation is I need to trust that you think I'm a good person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Listen, it's hard shit.
What you got going on, Alyssa? Because I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, I'm pretty far along in this work, and I get to say that for my, because you guys are much further along than I am in other things. But yeah, listen, I know all my coping mechanisms. I know them all. I can list them off to you. I am so good at dissociation, to the point that when I was in treatment, they didn't know I was dissociating, because I can keep a full conversation going. But if you ask me 30 minutes later what we talked about, I won't even remember. So I'm so good.
I do feel like that's a special skill.
Oh, I kind of think it's my superpower. Like, I brag about it a little bit. That and my mask. I can convince anyone of anything.
Are you convincing us right now?
A little bit. But like, you've seen, how many times have you seen me? Like, we joke about it, but like, you're like, take a picture, and I turn on, and then my face drops immediately.
Yeah.
I am so good at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes Rebecca's like, I'm worried about you in the podcast. And I'm like, don't worry, I know how to turn it on. And we come in, and it's like a thought never happened, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. I can turn on.
Yeah.
It's not super genuine, you know? I definitely know how to be performatory for people around me. There's only been one episode that I was unwell that I did not perform in, and we did not show a lot of footage of me from that episode.
She was like this, y'all. And we let her.
By the way, I looked rough too. I look back at that footage. I'm like, I look bad. Like, my hair
Honestly,
was.
though, I did too. I mean, Rebecca really brought it that day, which,
To be fair,
fuck you.
you
But-
knew. To be
Oh,
fair,
yeah.
you knew, and you advocated for yourself, and you got a little bit talked into coming on, which
I
is
did.
fine. But
Yeah.
we should have been like, and now time to exit.
Yeah, I should have just left.
Exit stage left.
learning lessons over here.
So yeah, I'm really good at dissociating. I mask. One thing that was hit over the head, which if someone tells me this nowadays, I just get so angry, which is I'm a huge avoider. I'll just avoid. Like, stuff it down, avoid, turn it on, turn it off. I very much remember growing up, if something like really traumatizing happened at school, or like, let's just say like the bullying was like crazy that day, I'll remember like literally going home being like, that didn't happen to me.
So you gaslight yourself.
Oh, 100%. And not even that, but like, I like convince myself like, oh, it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah. I do that to me.
Like, and like, I can handle it. Like, they want me to be upset, so I'm not going to be upset. I'll just like stuff it down.
I wish I had that.
No. You don't. You
Yeah.
don't, because it has led to so many harmful things over time that I feel like even in undoing and working backwards, you have to address all of those things.
Yeah.
Like, I had to address not feeling my emotions, and now I'm in a place where I can't even control them sometimes. Like, I'll be laying in bed at night. This is not great. I'll be laying in bed at night, and I'll just start hysterically crying. And Billy's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I think so. I just don't know. I just started crying.
I don't know why it's just happening.
Yeah, no, and me and Billy can like laugh through it and like everything, but sometimes it's just like literally out of nowhere. Billy's like, are you good? So it's better when Billy's not home, so I don't have to like explain to people. But Billy has definitely gotten more comfortable with the answer of like, I actually don't know why I'm not well right now. But yeah, I mean, dissociation, the mask, I turn the emotions off. I convince myself I'm fine. Self-harm comes up in so many different ways. My favorite one is just not eating food, you know. That's a classic for me. Just really love.
Just as a disclaimer, what she says her favorite one, we're not. We are
just the one
not-
she battles the most.
It is the one she battles the most. We are not condoning eating disorder
Don't
behavior.
do it. Don't do it.
And we're trying. We're working on it
working
with her,
so
and
hard.
she's working on it very hard. Everybody.
Yeah. But even for the eating disorder, like, then I have coping mechanisms within that.
Yeah.
Like, the little stoplight I showed you guys. So I made a little stoplight in at Renfrew.
Can we like put the like
I
the
know.
We'll
stoplight?
put an image up
We'll put
on
a
the...
little image of my stoplight here, but literally it's a red, yellow, green. Red.
Yep, you're good. Yep.
Okay.
You got it right. I was gonna say, don't Don't edit.
You saw?
You did it. Yeah.
Right away I said that wrong.
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks, Rebecca. So green is like all of the behaviors I'm doing when I'm good. Yellow are like warning sign behaviors. And then green is like, red is like we're in the danger zone of like, these are not good behaviors. And they're all coping mechanisms. I mean, behaviors are coping mechanisms. So my go-tos are just avoidance. I just avoid. I avoid food. I avoid.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're the only one that hasn't told us what you're coping with right now. So I'm not sure if you want to avoid that.
That's so funny. I didn't do that on
Clocked it.
purpose. Wow.
And your emotional support water bottle.
I know. I know. Well, listen, I had a really tough week with family dynamics, and I continue to want the people in my life to. God, I was doing so good.
I know, but
It landed really heavy there. I want the people in my life to. Me and my sisters have had some really beautiful conversations around the way that we were brought up. And I have a wonderful mom and dad. I really do. I have great parents. I grew up in a very privileged household. And I love how different me and my sisters turned out. We're very different from each other. And I think that's great. I think that shows that we had space to be ourselves. But the one thing that we all commonly agree on is it is so ingrained in us to seek our parents' approval. And I don't know if that's true for everyone. I don't know if everyone's like, no, if my parents think I'm doing good, then I'm doing good. And if they don't think I'm doing good, then I'm not doing good. I've said this is a crazy thing to think about. But me and Billy have been together for 10 plus years now. But if I brought Billy home and my parents didn't like him, at that point in time in my life, I don't think the relationship would have lasted. He's my husband.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I know I was in a place that I was so influenced by my parents that if I didn't have their approval, I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
This recovery is the first thing in my life that I have done without my parents' approval. Even moving, I had their approval of like moving from New York to the Carolinas. And that shit is hard.
Yeah.
Because I really was living my life for other people and not just them. I started taking that and that validation that I was getting and then implementing it elsewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Being like, oh, if I push myself so much at work, look at all this validation I'm getting at work. Look at all the validation I'm getting from students. Oh, it started monopolizing. I literally was drained. Like I wasn't a person. I was just performing for everyone. You know? I go home at the end of the day and I wanted to literally die. Like literally, I was just hoping like, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing that with like literally no food, no nutrients, no energy, no anything. The brain fog is crazy. Like I'm just drifting through life.
Yeah.
So I want to say I don't know why this was different, but I think it was different because, oh God, I'm going to cry because Taryn like literally saved my life. I met Taryn and she just like saw me. There was no mask. There was no avoidance. There was no anything. And she just asked the right questions.
Taryn is your dietitian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And-
specifically knows about eating disorders.
Yeah, 100%. And Katie, I have to like loop Katie into that because Katie was my first therapist. And Katie, I joke all the time. She was like, you really got to talk to my friend Taryn. And I was like, yeah, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. And I eventually did. And I was like, oh, yeah, I needed to talk to your friend Taryn, didn't I? So I really think it like genuinely took people who just like knew what they were looking for and asked the right questions. So I felt so seen finally by someone that I was like, I'm in. Like and then Taryn got me even more connected with people who saw me and understood me. And I found a community and people. And I finally was like, yeah, I don't think my parents see me. You know,
Yeah.
I know they love me.
Yeah.
I know they see me. I don't think they fully understand it.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because I really am still like wanting approval, wanting approval, wanting approval. So it has come up within the last couple of weeks that I am continuing to give I'm continuing to loosen my boundaries in hopes that I am pleasantly surprised. And I haven't been. And I had to suffer the consequences of that. You know, you loosen your boundaries. And Amber said something amazing this week, my trauma therapist. I dropped so many names on this podcast.
She said she has a team, and she literally has a team.
I literally have a team. Like, don't you freaking worry, my friends. When you get this mentally unstable, it does take a team. Well, I was talking with Amber, and Amber goes, you know, she was saying that she has teenagers. She goes, they've proven themselves to follow the rules, so I give them more freedom. I say, okay, you can go out, like, you know, you can have your phone. And then she looks, and they were on the phone until 4 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't respect the new boundary, so now you lose the privilege. You don't give them more. You don't say,
Yeah.
oh, you stayed up to 4 a.m. Let's see if you do it again. You know?
Yeah.
She's like, no, there's consequences to that.
Yes.
Right. So I am living in unrealistic expectations that I can change the people's minds around me because I want them to see me and love me and do the work with me. And while they do love me, they do not see the work. They do not support the work. And I think that needs to be okay. I think when we even talk about this podcast, like, the goal is visibility, right? Like, we want to be representing fat people in a positive way, and we want to address fat phobia. But like, I think in order to get the support from the loved ones that I'm looking for, they need to address things that they might not want to address.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a place and time where I didn't want to address it, you know? So I'm living in this place of like, I don't want to be unfair. I don't want to be unfair.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's heavy shit. Rebecca literally, I think, just leaned back to take a breath.
I don't
cry, I just breathe heavy.
It's okay.
I hear everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of my family too. And it's not unfair. It's not unfair to ask the people we care about most to care.
Yeah.
Right? You're not asking them to co-sign. You're not.
I think I am.
Okay. Right? And they can say no.
Right.
They can also put a boundary out there, right? They
Yeah.
can say, no, we're not going to co-sign this, but we can care about it.
Yeah.
We can tell our friends about it. We can be proud of it. Yes, there is a difference between caring about it and co-signing it. If they're not ready, if they're not in a place to co-sign, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? And that may be something that you need, and something that I think we've talked about this before, where, and I don't know if this is helpful, but you know, I had to get to a place with some of my family members where I had to realize that I was getting angry a lot and getting hurt a lot because of my expectations that I was unable to lower. And yes, it's disappointing to lower them, but they can only meet me where they're at, right?
Yeah.
So instead of continuing to get hurt, now I'm not talking about the people that are actually like bullies, right? But instead of getting let down, I had to start with my hopes down here, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's hard. It's hard when you want so badly. And I don't, you know, I know that you haven't shared like a ton with us about the childhood trauma.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me like your parents were maybe one of the few that you had growing up that were your people, right?
100%. I didn't have my sisters growing up.
Yeah.
That relationship was really strained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was mom and dad's kid for sure.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
laugh about that a little bit.
Yeah. So you spent, your whole childhood being mom and dad's
Mm-hmm.
kid and getting their approval, and it felt good, right? And so now not having their approval on this is scary.
One of the things that I think for me is important is my parents look at some of my stuff, but no, they're not going to fully get on the same bandwagon in terms of thinking, you know. And I do have to live with that disconnect, and I have found ways to live with that disconnect. But I think what's really important is for them to say, like, maybe they view it differently, maybe they wouldn't go about it the same way. There is a difference between knowing that for themselves, but then also respecting and trusting you for picking what you know is important to you.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's easier to live with when you know they respect that you know it's important for you and that they believe that you are picking the right pathway for yourself.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. And I also think I don't think it's unfair to ask them or at least initiate conversation and tell them what you need. But the reality is, like, it's heartbreaking when they don't. You know,
Yeah.
and I think it's okay to feel it, even if what I'm hearing is that you're feeling it and you're still offering them so much understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have said this entire time, I do not point and blame my parents for anything, like, at all, even though, like, I can look at them and be like, oh, that's where I learned this behavior and this behavior. Like,
Sure.
but like they're doing what they thought was best,
Right.
right? Like,
You offer a lot of grace.
I really, really try to, but I think with this specifically, it's like, I need you to at least acknowledge all of the harm
Yeah.
and how I am doing the right thing. And I need you to be a positive advocate for my work,
Yes.
you know? So yeah, family dynamics are hard, man. And there's going to be good weeks where it's amazing. And there's going to be weeks where it's not amazing. And it has been a couple of non-amazing weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I can say has come out of this past week, especially, is some really impactful conversations with Billy and both of my sisters, where there's been a lot of reflection on where I was 2 years ago
Mm-hmm.
to where I am now. And it was a resounding, like, you are not the same person, you know? And I don't feel like I'm the same person. I sometimes am like, today being like, why could I not get out of bed today? You know, like, I'm still stressed out being like, do I need to talk to therapy? Is it my medication? Do I just not feel good? Am I exhausted? Like, sometimes you're just like navigating life and it's through a different lens of like, oh my God, you know, but I know for a fact that I am not the same person because that person did not want to live 2 years ago. So, yeah.
I do feel like for all of us, like, common thread is that we're not the same people we were 2 years ago. But we're coping through all the changes, right? And this is an episode on coping. And to sum it up, we're not coping well, bitch. But we are actually coping, even if it's not to the levels we'd hoped for. Life is hard. We have a space to talk about it. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for you too. And I'm thankful for our audience for letting us have their ear. And I hope you'll go down in the comments and tell us about some of the stuff you're coping with and how you're coping. And remember, like, we're not alone with any of this stuff, even if it can feel like it in the thick of it. But yeah, we're fat.
We're fab.
And we're friends.
I was like, give it to me. And we'll be back with you next week.
Bye.
Bye.